Hello, can you guys hear me now? Hello. Yay. Okay, hello. So, yeah. Oh my god. The funny thing is that I asked my friend Joy if I should stream at night and do like a wine night thing, or if I should stream in the morning and do a coffee thing. And she was like, girl, do it in the morning. And then I forgot that I'm 31 years old and like to sleep. But it's all good. Yeah, so today I wanted to talk about like books and heartbreak because it's almost Valentine's Day, and I think a lot of people are like going through it with that stuff. Yeah. Um, for once in one of my streams, there's no PowerPoint. I'm just like, yeah, just wanted to talk about stuff. And the other day I was putting together some books for a video that I want to film, and I was thinking of The Blind Assassin by Margaret Atwood, and how I'll type it in the chat box so that it will be saved after the stream too. But yeah, I was thinking of The Blind Assassin by Margaret Atwood and how that's such a heartbreaking book. And I feel like if anyone wanted to feel sad slash less sad on Valentine's, they should read that. Because, yeah, because it's just so sad. It's the kind of sad that's so hopelessly sad that you just can't feel sadder than the person in the book after you read it. Yeah. What are some books that you guys feel like reading, or that you feel, I don't know, that you feel are good for going through heartbreak? Um, yeah. I was also reading, well, yeah, I was reading a couple of poems the other day from The Creation by Anne Carson, which I'm trying to talk about in my reading wrap up, but it's also really difficult. The thing about that book is like my expectation versus reality was super different. I feel like when I started reading it, I expected that it would be something about yeah, about like not heartbreak per se, but like identity vis-a-vis heartbreak. But it's about a different kind of heartbreak altogether. Like all of the poems are about Anne Carson's mom, and how, well, it's unfair maybe to say Anne Carson, but the persona's mom, and about like her having to take care of her mom when her mom had Alzheimer's already. So I was like, yeah, I guess that's a different kind of heartbreak too, and it's so sad, but at the same time it's like, how come there are some things that you can read that are depressing and they'll be like okay, and then there are other things that there are other things that you can read that are depressing and it's just more depressing. I don't know, it's so strange. Yeah. I think I need coffee. Have you guys had coffee already? This chat was supposed to be like a coffee chat, but since I woke up late, I haven't even been able to make coffee yet. Yeah. Actually, hold on. While we're waiting for more people to come in, I think I'm gonna go get myself some coffee because this is the thing about like being addicted to coffee. I genuinely feel like my brain doesn't function. Yeah. Siguro si Ann Carson lagi lang heartbroken. Or, she writes generally depressing things, which is nice. Which is nice. But yeah, I think so. Okay, so yeah. Hold on. I'm just gonna get coffee and then I'll tell you guys why it was so hard for me to wake up this morning, and the wonderful dream that I had. Like, it was such a beautiful, detailed dream, and I woke up feeling really sad about it, which is perfect because, heartbreak. Heartbreak MS. Okay, hold on. BRB, please. Okay, hi guys. Sorry, I'm back. Hold on. Yeah, okay, I'm not muted. Aha, I see. The A Little Life Hate Club has arrived. No, no, yeah, but I mean, I understand actually why a lot of people hate that book. Because I feel like it's way different than other depressing books in the sense that it just keeps on hitting you, or hitting Jude. And I guess like the POV that's used in A Little Life is very like there are times when it can be very detached also, and it's also so graceful. Like the way she writes is so graceful, which makes all of the bad stuff that happen to Jude kind of insidious because you don't like it's told so beautifully and you're feeling sad, but there's something about the language of it and the way that it's written that's almost like telling you, no, like this is how it's supposed to be. So I totally get that. Um, but that said, like I didn't enjoy. I wouldn't say enjoy A Little Life, but I was very invested in A Little Life, and I did like it primarily for the friendship aspect of things. Especially like that part where I forgot his name, but like Jude's mentor, like the guy who kind of adopts him, when he says that the trick to friendship is to make friends who are hello, hi Joe. To make friends who are kinder and better and more clever than yourself, something like that. Yeah, and I don't know. I get why a lot of people would be put off it though, and I do feel like when it comes to depressing books, A Little Life is kind of like the depressing book. Like I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend it like to anyone who has trouble with like feeling sad or just yeah. I don't know. I don't. It's weird. Yeah. I read that article also about Hanya Yanagihara because yeah. It is like she has Munchausen by proxy. That's such a funny way to put it, but it is kind of true. Even with her other books, I think. But then there's also something about it. I don't know. It's weird. Like there's a certain kind of person who will like her books. And that certain kind of person is me and like some of my other friends. But yeah, I understand. I actually feel like the dangerous thing about her writing also is that you'll most enjoy it or most appreciate it, I feel, if you're not one of the people who is in the demographic that she's talking about. Like all of my friends who are gay, like really hated A Little Life, and all of my friends also, and all of my friends who aren't, are kind of okay with it. Like, oh yeah, it's just another depressing book, and I totally understand that because, like I feel like with people who aren't in the demographic that she writes about, it's almost like um what floats or parang yung lumulutang is yung technique niya and the way she writes. But of course, if you're kind of immersed in that world, I also have friends who who are like from New York and stuff and hated it because a big part of it is set in New York, and they're like, what the fuck? Like, why do they make everyone from New York sound like this? So yeah, I totally get it. Like I understand why people are put off by that book. And that's what I always tell people, like when they're about to read it. I'm like, you don't have to finish it. Because I feel like that's a kind of book that can be super triggering talaga. Yeah. Yeah, and so like with what Mav said, hi Mav. Um hate isn't the operative word. Maybe it's more like nakakasuka. Like it makes you nauseous. And yeah. When I said that I like reading depressing books, I mean, I don't think I meant like to that degree. I mean, yeah, like I'm not one of the people who didn't like A Little Life, but I don't think I would reread Little Life for fun, if you know what I mean. Like, it's such a heavy book, and yeah, so I totally get you. Okay, maybe I mean that there's some has sparked the debate. Ah, right. You know, the thing about that is like, I think, yeah, it did spark that debate, but I actually feel like this book came out like a little later in that trend. And I feel like it came in at exactly that point where um where that was becoming a thing and people were still on the cusp of realizing that it wasn't necessarily a good thing. Because there was a point, like here on BookTube, where everybody who reviewed A Little Life really liked it. Like if you search films, like YouTube reviews from that time period that it came out, all of the reviews were good. And then there was this point where I can't remember who it was, but there was like a booktuber who was like, I'm suspicious of books where no one has anything bad to say about them. And she read it and she hated it. I'm not sure if it was Mercedes from Mercy's Bookish Musings. But yeah, and then after that, like people started talking about it. Yeah, Mav, definitely right. And yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. But yeah, so I don't know. I feel weird about A Little Life too. And I wouldn't recommend that for Valentine's Day. Not that kind of heartbreak. We're looking at heartbreak that we can survive, guys. Not heartbreak that's like someone's gonna lock you up and like, do bad stuff to you. Kind of heartbreak. Anyway, I have coffee now. For a coffee holic, I actually feel like the Nespresso is a good investment because there are so many companies now that make capsule coffee with biodegradable capsules and they have better coffee than the real Nespresso coffee. But anyway, yeah, right now I'm still reading those who those who leave and those who stay by Elena Ferrante. It's not. I'm not holding it right now. It's in my bed because I was reading it until I fell asleep last night, and it's so sad. Like it's so sad, but it's the good kind of sad. Okay, it's not gonna make you feel like everything's hopeless, but I mean it's sad in the sense that it's like a study on friendships and on the humanness of people, I guess, and how you can be different kinds of people at different points in your life. Yeah, like there's one of the characters there who I feel is kind of my favorite character. Her name is Lila, and she kind of has a bad bad temperament in the sense that she's very defensive about certain things. Also because she didn't have the opportunity to study and she didn't have a lot of opportunities in her life. And one of the things that she tried to do very bravely when she was younger was to get married to like one of the rich guys in their town. And they got married, but the marriage like didn't work out. And so now she's like working in a sausage factory, and like the circumstances of her life have completely changed. And I don't know, there's just something about how that was written that's so good. Like I really love it when books can capture that sense of time. I also felt that before with The Bone Clocks by David Mitchell. Like the way that he describes the character of, I always forget her name. Like, was her name Holly? I think her name was Holly or something like that. And the way that he describes the way that she gets older and the different like things that she goes through just in everyday life, like not big tragedies or anything, but just like the way that her life changes and her image to other people change throughout her life. I don't know, there's something about that so good. Oh my gosh. Okay, okay. Thank you for asking. Do my app shop girl says, how does Elena Ferrante write and what themes do they usually write about? Lagi ko nakikita books niya sa National Bookstore. Pero nakaka-curious. Oh, I love your videos, Miss Mina. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Okay. Actually, hold on. I'm going to go and get my book and then I'll read some to you guys. Super excited. Okay, give me 2 seconds. Literally 2 seconds. I'm just gonna get it. Okay, I'm back. And I realized na naka-headphones ako, but that headphone set of mine doesn't have a mic. So I was just wearing it out of habit. Inis. Okay, anyway, alright, sige. So let's talk about Elena Ferrante. So the cool thing about Elena Ferrante, I think, aside from her writing, of course, is that no one actually knows who she is. Elena Ferrante is a pseudonym, actually. It's not her real name. No one has ever met her before. No one knows who she is. If you Google Elena Ferrante, I think the photo that comes up is a photo of the character of Elena from My Brilliant Friend, which is the first book in the Neapolitan series. So the series that I've been reading. And yeah, so the thing is, Elena Ferrante tends to write about life in Naples because she grew up in Naples, in Italy. And I think Naples is very, well, at least from what I can gather in her writing, sort of very like small town vibes and kind of very like province side. And it actually kind of reminds me of the way that Gabriel Garcia Marquez wrote A Chronicle of a Death Foretold, where there are those same themes of like magic realism, although it's more subtle in Elena's writing, and this sense of foreboding and this sense that any laws or I guess like the way things go in that neighborhood, and in fact she actually refers to it in the book as the neighborhood, are governed more by the sort of precarious relationships between people more than they are by actual law or actual governance, if that makes sense. And the story of the Neapolitan books. So this is the second book in the Neapolitan series. The first one is My Brilliant Friend. I think that's the most famous one. And that's also the title of the TV show. It's like an HBO TV show, and I've been trying to download it, but there are no seeders. And it's on the HBO Go, I think, for Europe or for Italy. Like, it's not available here. Anyway, yeah, this is the third one, which is where I'm currently at. I'm like 150 pages in. This is Those Who Leave and Those Who Stay. So, to the question of what do they write about? Hi, April! Oh my gosh, The Days of Abandonment. You know, I really, really want to read that. When I was younger, I watched the film of that, and I didn't know that it was based on that book. But yeah. Okay, I will definitely pick that up. I also have her other book, The Lying Life of Adults, and I'm so excited to read that. So to the question, oh my god, ano ba yan? What's wrong with my voice today? Grabe guys, to think like I slept early na last night. Anyway, yeah. So to as to what like she writes a lot about life in Naples, and in particular, like for the Neapolitan series, she writes about best friends Elena and Lila, and they grow up like in the same neighborhood, and it's just about how you can use like people end up using their friends as like benchmarks for how well their life is going. And the narrator, Elena, she always feels like throughout her life she's sort of been like the boring one because Lila was like the beautiful one, she was the brilliant one, she was super smart. When they were growing up, like she would do all of these like very courageous, like rebellious things. She very early on sort of had a good sense of self, and yeah, and so Elena has always felt kind of like Lila's shadow in that sense. And the tables just, or like the balance just kind of tips when Lila's family doesn't allow her to pursue further education. So Elena is the one who ends up going to school and pursuing that education. Even if when they're younger, it's actually Lila who always says that, like, you know, you have to study well, you have to get out of here, etc. And it's basically like the story of their friendship and how they take and like lead such different lives, but also lives that are always intertwined because of that comparison with one another. And something that strikes me about this like series is just how well Elena Ferrante writes about vulnerability. There's this one scene, so Lila gets married when she's 16. That's sort of also an indicator of you know, like how backwards their neighborhood is. And she marries the son of like the owners of the big grocery in their town. So a lot of money, like very comfortable life. And what she really wants to do is to kind of, you know, pull her family out of poverty. And the thing about like the guy that she marries, his name is I feel like that's a spoiler. Never mind. I won't tell you his name. But yeah, she marries him because he's like mild-mannered even if he's rich, etc. But then later on, like she discovers another side of him, and Elena Ferrante describes that as like your parents suddenly, like you suddenly taking the shape of your parents, because the father of this guy is like someone that the town thought of as like a tyrant when they were younger, but he didn't seem like that until later on. And it's such a good image, like your parents suddenly, you know, bursting from you, like suddenly taking or changing shape. Oh my god, ang ganda. And there's a scene like on Lila's wedding day where Elena is kind of feeling jealous because another thing about that neighborhood also is that all of the girls want to marry someone who's rich, right? All of the girls want to be beautiful. That's just what they're taught to kind of value. And at this point, Elena, even if she's going to school already, like middle school and everything, she still lives in the town. So she hasn't been kind of exposed yet to the outside world, which also does happen later on. Yeah. And she's like giving Lila a bath and like talking her down, you know, before her wedding. And Lila says to her, you know, like, I don't want to read anymore, like just don't let me near that, but you, like, you know, you can do it, like finish your schooling and get out of this town. And I was just like, what the fuck, like I'm crying. Yun, it's just it's so good, sobrang ganda talaga. And nakaka-addict. I don't know. Like I usually think of like, oh, I'll read for 1 hour today. Like 1 hour read, 1 hour write. But with this, like, you know, like I fell asleep last night reading it. So yeah, it's so good, and I would really, really recommend it. Like start with My Brilliant Friend. But if you find that like My Brilliant Friend is just okay for you, where you like it but you don't feel immediately compelled to pick up the next book, just pick up the next book. Because after I read My Brilliant Friend, I was like, well, it was really good, but it's not a cliffhanger or anything, so I don't really feel like I need to get the second one. But the second book is so much more compelling, and it holds a lot of like the meat, I feel, of the story, and it really sort of shows you what's gonna happen next, like what their lives are gonna be like moving forward from that. Right. April says she writes frim. Sorry, what does frim mean? Ah, right. From a strong, honest female perspective. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And she's not afraid to talk about that experience of, being a woman, and also this sense that people want something from you. Like they want to take something from you. And that's something in these books that I just feel and find like so freaking relatable. Where women are taught or brought up to always like people please, like to please people, and that's something that kind of ruins both, not ruins, but like that's kind of the handicap, I think, of both Elena and Lila in these books. Grabe, like it's so good. Hello, do my app shop girl. Sure, anytime. So yeah, speaking of like stories set in Europe and stuff. So last night I had a really good dream. And I think that's why I woke up late, because I remember waking up already at around 8 because I was thinking about like, am I going to do yoga today? Like, am I going to get ready for the stream early today? Am I going to make a PowerPoint? Like, is that something I want to do? But yeah, and then after that I was like, sige, like I'll try. And then I went back to sleep. And basically my dream was that I was with some friends, and then we went, I think it was work actually. I was with like friends and people from work, because I remember that I was like talking about having to requisition for like flights and for the transpo, and like organize the accommodations and stuff like that. And so it was so funny, like we were gonna go on like a trip that began in the Middle East, so like Abu Dhabi, Emirates, Dubai, and then after that we would go through like Israel and stuff like that, and then we would go to Europe after, like France, London, Italy, blah blah, Spain. So weird. So that was like my dream. Like, and I was just having so much fun. Like we were in, I think we were in Greece, like when we stopped, and when I stopped dreaming, like when I woke up. And then there was just like this really, really beautiful like place where we were staying, where it was like overlooking the ocean and stuff like that. And then we were just like trying to cook and get drinks ready and stuff. I really feel like I have like some sort of cabin fever from staying in. Na parang shit, even sa panaginip ko, oh my god, gusto ko na umalis. Relate. But yeah, 'di ba? People pleasing, parang ganun eh, because that's how women are taught that we're going to get ahead in life. And the thing is, even now, at 31 years of age, I can't say that that's not how the world works. Like, if I think about it, so much of your standing in work, in school, wherever, depends on whether people like you or not. And yeah, I feel like that's something I kind of admire in Gen Z. I was talking to my other friend, Merle, about this. But yeah, like that's something I kind of admire about Gen Z. Like they literally give no fucks. Like they don't care if you like them or not, you know? And sometimes, like, I also feel like that's why sometimes, because my niece is Gen Z, and she literally doesn't care. Like she doesn't want to please me. She's just like, okay, Yeah, uh-huh. Like, what does that mean? You know, like I feel that actively she will be fine even if I don't approve of whatever. Not that I don't approve. I mean, there's nothing to approve of, you know. I'm the chill tita, okay? Ako yung nang spoil lang. So, so yun. But yeah, I feel that. And I kind of envy that ability of theirs where they just don't care. Maybe the Naples setting from the book bled into your dreams. Nakailang travel dreams na rin po ako since na lockdown sa panaginip na. Diba? Grabe talaga. Oo, you know what? I feel like the Naples setting talaga from the book bled into my dreams. And I was talking last night to my friend who is currently finishing up like this 4-month Euro trip that he's on because his boyfriend though is German. So yeah, like his boyfriend and him have been sort of traveling and meeting the family and etc etc, and he's like been sending me like some pictures and stuff, and I'm like, wow, it's so like pretty, like happy for you. But also I'm dying. Like, my god, kahit hindi nga abroad kahit mag-travel lang ako, ewan sa Tagaytay, char. Oh my god, Wina, be careful what you wish for, char. But yeah. Tara, Nika, sama ka. Pero oo, diba? Sobrang talaga. Sobrang funny. Pero yun, as in, sobrang shit, nakakamiss mag-travel. And I think, yes, push lang. Tying it into the theme of this stream, which is heartbreak. It's so heartbreaking that we can't go anywhere, Ay, nako. Yeah. Oh, I have some other books also to recommend, I guess, like if you feel like reading. But like light heartbreak chart. Yeah, but the kind of heartbreak that's livable. yung parang at the end of it, buhay pa tayo. Buhay pa yung protagonist, chart. The first book I want to show is Vampires in the Lemon Grove by Karen Russell. And this is a short story collection with a lot of stories that, have a little kirot sa puso. Medyo may heartache ng slight, but they're really good and very hopeful. Like, one of my favorite stories here is... Well, the first story, the title story, let's talk about that first. The title story is called Vampires in the Lemon Grove, and it's about this elderly vampire couple. Sobrang cute. This elderly vampire couple, and they basically they're like growing apart. The guy is like he loves his wife and everything, and he's still kind of clingy, etc. And they have a lemon grove kasi. And then yung wife niya naman, she's like sort of disinterested in him, and it's not like they fight or anything, but it's just that she's always like flying off to do other things. Like she's interested in like this wider world of adventure, and the guy, he's sort of more rooted. Parang he just wants to be with his wife. So yeah, it's a really sad story, but it's told like in a very cute way. And then there's another story in here called Reeling for the Empire, which is about these women who like have been recruited by Imperial Japan. It's set in the Meiji era, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, basically they're recruited to spin silk for the empire, and they're made to drink this tea that will allow them to produce silk, like from their skin, like from their pores. And because of that, they sort of become silkworms. Like their appearance changes and everything. And the way that I don't want to spoil it, but like eventually they sort of, find it in them to start like a revolution or to get out of that prison. Yeah, super good. Oh, do my app shop girl. As Gen Z female on my senior year of undergrad, I can still feel some pressure to people please, especially with career things. But I've been gradually, yes, this life is your own. And yeah, alam mo yun, I understand that. And I guess, am I right to assume that you're a little bit older Gen Z? Like maybe age 18 to 22, that kind of thing? because I feel like I have friends also who are Gen Z, like around 23, 22, and yeah, they feel the same. My niece is like baby Gen Z kasi she's like 10 years old. So but maybe when you're 10 years old then it's easier not to give any fucks. Pero yeah. Oh. Yeah, that's so heartbreaking. And actually, kinakabahan nga ako eh. Because, oh, hi Dom! Dom! Yap Shop Girl? Hello! Oh yeah, I was right. 18 to 22. 22. I don't know about you. I'm feeling 22. Yeah. Ay, nako. Pero ang hirap talaga, promise. Promise me one thing, don't ever go into sales, Char. I mean, honestly, the thing about sales is I feel like it can help strengthen a lot of good skills, like being diplomatic, dealing with people, ganon. But at the same time, I feel like sales really, like rewards you for people pleasing. Which I don't know, I'm half and half about it. I guess it's a good skill to have, but at the same time, it's also like sometimes it's just so tiring. Like sometimes I just think about, like I have to actively remind myself that I'm not going to base my happiness or satisfaction on whether or not I get compliments about this thing. Parang ganun. Na, like, I'm gonna base my satisfaction on whether or not I actually got the job done, whether or not I tried my best, that kind of stuff. Because it's so easy then to fall into that trap. Joke lang. Of course, go, I mean, honestly. Oh my god! Yeah, I know what you mean. Sad stories with married couples also affect me a lot. And I like them because it doesn't stop at the happily ever after. You know how we're usually trained na parang... Wait, inom muna akong kape. You know how we're usually trained na like after marriage, parang marriage is like, or a wedding is like the happy ending moment. Na parang after nun, like everything is gonna be safe and secure and blah blah blah. But then with sad stories with married couples, it kind of changes that. Like it kind of, it sheds light on our idea of what happily ever after is. Which is, wait, sabi ko inom ako ng kape. Yeah. And I think that's also why I kind of like reading about that. It kind of reminds me that the thing that's important is like how you treat each other and your relationship, parang ganon. And not so much yung ano ba, like markers or anything for that. And yeah. Have you read Conversations with Friends, April? Or like you don't know the story yet? And I didn't even know it was being made into a show. Oh my god. Conversations with Friends is like one of my favorite books. Even if the characters, that's the thing about yung mga characters talaga ni Sally Rooney. Like, they're so annoying sometimes, but I love them. And I don't have that book right now because it's downstairs. I have this like small table in my entryway. Like when you walk into the door of my apartment, there's a small parang coffee table and this full-length mirror. Nandun yung book. Yeah, I'm like, welcome guys, pasok kayo, read this really sad book. Oh my god! Okay, di ako magsuspoil, pero yeah, it's something. Shit. Oh gosh. Pero I don't know, recently nga, like the more that I've been thinking about Sally Rooney lately, parang yung favorite ko yata yung latest niya. I don't know. Still thinking about it. I think the only married couple story I read was The Unbearable Light. Gosh. Yeah. Si Tomas and si Teresa in The Unbearable Lightness of Being. I love that book so much. Because it's so good at talking about like the private things that people think to themselves and the things that they want for themselves regardless of who they're with. And yeah, I feel like with Tomas and Teresa, it's a paradox. Like on one hand, you're right. I think that it is about people in two different places. Parang people in one same physical space but living two different lives. But then at the same time, it's also this irony of like once you take those two people apart, they kind of find their way back to each other, which is just what's so nice about that. And yeah, and then on the other hand, you have people like Sabina and Franz, whose love is like not reciprocated, or at least not to that like the degree that they want it to be. And if you think about what they want actually from like well what Franz wanted from Sabina and what Sabina wanted from Tomas, like it's the same thing. It's what Tomas and Teresa have. So it's so weird. It's really weird. Like I find it interesting also how marriage as a concept is something that people generally want. Like even if they are already existing in a narrative where maybe they see like the darker side of that, right? But I guess that's hopefulness also. I don't know, you guys. What do you think? Yeah. And I don't know. I feel like all in all, it's also nice to talk to old people about marriage, like to talk to old people about, you know, what their lives were like as married people. I found that it like really unearthed some very interesting stories. I think my favorite married people story though is not sure if this counts, but is the time traveler's wife because it's so nakakaiyak and you know it's also yeah it tackles also like the parts of marriage that are difficult, but it doesn't kumbaga it doesn't like destroy the two characters, and you know Henry and Claire get through it. Yeah, that's true. The institution of marriage is a sort of external validation of their togetherness. Yeah, that's true. And I feel like it's validation more actually on the part of the girl or the, you know, it's same with like how we've been brought up to people please. Like we're seeking validation from the institution, from other people that like yeah, this union is viable. This person that I've chosen is socially acceptable. And you know when I was growing up like my mom was just super parang a strong kind of lady, you know, she's like very independent ganyan, and she was telling me that when she and my dad were going to get married, like her family didn't want her to marry him because he didn't come from like a well-off family where her ex-boyfriend was like the son of a politician. And I was thinking about that now. When I was younger, I just thought it was like, oh, okay, parang exag naman si mama, or like, it's like a story lang. But then the more I think about it, I feel like it's so representative also of what marriage means, like, especially to the older generations. Because for us, I think, well, speaking as a millennial, I think for us, it's really a lot also about just wanting to have a party where we celebrate our love and celebrate with people, you know? Yeah. But I feel like it was different before. And I think from our POV, it's interesting to see how that is. Because, of course, a lot of those expectations still bleed on us. Like, you know, when I think about getting married, I'm always torn between what I want, which is like, I do not want a church wedding. I want it to be people that I actually know who are there, not some random relatives from, I don't know, like the farthest part of Pampanga, you know. But like, yeah, but then I feel torn because my mom, of course, wants like the big wedding with all of the relatives and, you know, yada yada. So, and like really in a church and everything. So, super, I'm torn there. And that part of me that is a people pleaser is like having a lot of conflict there. And I'm kind of grateful that my boyfriend isn't like me in that way. Like, he's very independent, like, whatever. Like, it's not their wedding. Okay. Dom says, to my mom, it's a milestone or a must do. Yeah, same actually. Yeah. But I feel like for me, with my mom now, we just kind of like agree to disagree. Because, I mean, for me, it's not a must. Like, it's something that you do if you want to do it. But if you don't want to, or if you feel like hindi pa kayo ready, especially in this world, na Diyos ko, Lord, napakahirap kumita ng pera, okay? Okay. Have you read Their Eyes Were Watching God? No, hindi. Hindi ko pa napapanood. Hindi ko pa nababasa. Their Eyes Were Watching God. Sige, I'll take note. Their Eyes Were Watching God. Sige. I'll search for it. It sounds like something I'd like. I recently finished Warton's Age of Innocence. I don't know anything about Age of Innocence. I only know about it from Gossip Girl. Because there was this episode before na parang Age of Innocence themed. Pero yeah, oh my gosh, I'd be so interested in it. Sige, I will find that. Nabubulabog yung mom mo. Every time I tell her, I may not like, ay, nako. Yeah, ganun talaga. I mean, same, like, me and my boyfriend, we don't want to have kids. But I've realized a lot of people have a problem with that. Like, even my friend who is a little bit older, she's like around 40. She always tells me, like, if hindi kayo magkakaanak, bakit pa kayo magpapakasal? I'm like, because we love each other. Because we want to. Yeah, and having children is so weird. Yung sinasabi, parang, di ba yung parang sinabi nung Pope or whatever na like, it's selfish not to have kids. I'm like, it's the most selfish thing to have children. You literally want to replicate yourself and validate your existence vis-a-vis what your child can do. You want to take all of your dreams that you didn't get to fulfill, which you're realizing by the time you have children, and make them do it. Like, I was trying to explain to my mom that there was this study that came out that the only things that can actively double your carbon footprint is to buy a car or to have a child. And she was like, huh? How can having a child double your carbon footprint? I was like, imagine, that's a whole other person. Everything that you do, that child does. And if you think about the future, that child will have more gadgets and will want to consume more because of the society that we live in. I was telling my mom, like, ikaw ba, like, nung 31 ka, meron ka bang laptop, iPad, home computer, cellphone, na dalawa, one for work, one for personal? I was like, no. You had, like, a typewriter, right? And now it's like that. So think, like, what more the younger generation? And I was like, when you were younger, you didn't feel the need to buy, like, 50,000 types of different lipsticks because the internet told you so. So, it's so weird. Yes! No to the forcing of the shape of yourself onto children talaga. So, my pledge to myself is that I'm gonna be the cool tita forever. Like, I'm gonna support my nieces because I feel like they're gonna need it when they grow up. Para siyang Gigi nga. Okay, sige. I'm excited. I wanna read that. The Age of Innocence and Their Eyes Were Watching God. Ay, nako. Sige. I think my last recommendation is like a poetry one. Pili ko mainis dito si Yostier. But it's Night Sky with Exit Wounds by Ocean Vuong. So, the thing is, so I've been working on my thesis, right? I've been writing trying to write for an hour every day. It's a pledge that I made to my therapist. That's actively our ongoing assignment. Is like to there's this concept called radical acceptance that she's really sort of turned me on to. And hi Louie, okay lang yan, late din ako. There's this concept called radical acceptance where you accept something without trying to put a sense of control onto it. And of course there's context for this. Like the context for radical acceptance is usually like tragedies or those things that happen, things that happen to you that are out of your control. And the way that my therapist said it is like, you accept that yes, this thing was good, but then this thing was also bad, and then it ended, and then something bad happened and I have no control of it. And yun. So so like that concept of radical acceptance is something that she told me might help me when it comes to writing my thesis. Just like all of these things happened and there's nothing you can do to go back in time and change them. There's no more control. I always think of this quote that my friend Joy kind of turned me on to via this poet Buddy Wakefield, and that's forgiveness is the release of all hope for a better past. And I think that's kind of what radical acceptance is about. So yeah, like release all hope for a better past. It's not gonna be better. And that's been helping me write my thesis. That's been helping me write my thesis a lot. So I've been writing for 1 hour every day. And another thing about radical acceptance also is like not thinking of perfection, not thinking of whether it's done, like just thinking of at least there was something. So yeah, so at least there was something. And I've been reading this and some other poetry books also to kind of just get myself in the mood. Nainis ka lang kasi sinabi sa'yo na magbasa ka ng Ocean Vuong. But yeah, I get it. Ocean Vuong is the Mark Doty for millennials. Char. Kasi diba, lahat ng mga Gen X na teachers natin, yun nire-recommend si Mark Doty. So maybe Gen Zers will look up to him. Char. More. But yeah, I really like Ocean Vuong though. Like I don't know, Ocean Vuong and Franny Choi for me like are the ones whose tone I enjoy the most when it comes to like contemporary poets. Yes. Yung parang I read this thing that, perfect is the enemy of good. And I was like, yeah, that's correct. Na there's so much pressure, there's so much pressure to be perfect, to do things perfectly, to do things to a certain standard. I'm like, Jesus Lord, ano ba? Mark Doty winner. Ayun, so I don't know. Yeah, I have that also. I read that also. It's good. I think you'd like it. Yeah, On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous. I love it. But yeah, it was so good, right? As in, oh, perfect or ideals. Exactly. Na parang, God. My therapist was telling me, she's like, so what do you think is hindering you from writing, blah blah blah. And I was telling her, well, first she was like, why do you mean that there's a lot of pressure on you? And I was like, well, it's the pressure I made for myself. Where I feel like I have an image to uphold. And she was like, well, it's better to just do something. Otherwise, you're not going to uphold your image anyway if you don't get it done. And I was like, yeah, that's a good point. And I also feel like, yeah, it can be so difficult. I think poetry is like a very emotional exercise for me where I think with fiction I can make people up. Like I don't feel as attached to characters like when I write about them. But poetry is like very non-fiction for me. And that's the problem. So I think that radical acceptance thing is really really working for me where yeah, like I'm slowly not feeling the pressure right now. I'm not feeling the pressure to you know to repair things, to make things perfect, to make things right. It just is what it is. I've also been working on some like creative nonfiction stuff. Like I used to write these tiny parang lyrical essay things and I've been starting again. I'll read you guys some. But yeah, I've been writing just little snippets every day. And I actually wrote one about radical acceptance. I think it's bounded by ideals that a society we have put. Yeah, that's true. Exactly. Which is why I don't feel so bad. Like now, I don't feel so bad if people read my poetry and they're like, oh, ikaw to no. Oh, ikaw to eh. Oo, ako yan. Bakit? We are not going to be where we are today if we all have the same ideals. Yeah. That's true. Definitely. But yeah. That is really hard. And I've stopped attempting it. Like, I've stopped attempting to be not the persona in my poems. And I have this like Let's Fight episode with Chingbi Cruz, where she said she slowly, like when she was younger, she used to find this pressure to write poems that would address people, like that would address a lot of people. But slowly she's beginning to realize that maybe her poems are really just talking to one person. And like, bahala na. Like, bahala na sila if other people understand it or not. But she wrote it with that one person in mind. And I feel like that's sort of what I've been thinking about too. Where does it matter where it's coming from? It's coming from me. Short story collections, Heart. That book is gorgeous. Okay. I think she's talking about vampires in the Lemon Grove. And yes, it is. It's so good. There's actually a PDF somewhere floating around on the internet. If you guys just want to parang sneak peek before you buy, just so you'll know what it's about. But yeah. Ay nako. It's been a journey, guys. I'm kind of happy though because hi Ray! Yes, we're talking about poetry. Okay, so to catch you guys up, we're talking about poetry, and I was just saying that because I'm working on my thesis right now, which has been breaking my heart, and like how poetry can be so emotional to write because it's not like fiction where you can invent someone. Like, of course, you can invent a persona, but for me anyway, even if the persona is invented, like, that's me. Like, I have a hard time taking my voice out of that. Yeah. And I feel like for me, poetry is a lot more non-fiction. Obviously, non-fiction than fiction. But yeah, I feel like it's different for everyone. So yeah. And I've been trying to work on like other projects that are not my thesis also, like just so that I have something else on the side that doesn't have anything to do with my thesis. Because soka na ako sa thesis, like I was talking to my friend who's currently in Australia for her PhD. And she was telling me na parang, girl, well, I have news for you. She's like, no matter what your thesis is, you're gonna feel this feeling of parang sukang-suka ka na, and it's like you just want to start on a different project. You just want to write something that isn't this. She's like, no matter what. Because I was telling her that I was feeling some kind of way about the thesis topic that I'd chosen, like the the poetry collection that I was writing, and how I kind of wish I went with a different concept. She was like, don't waste your time regretting that or thinking about that, because no matter what your thesis is, you're gonna be sick of it after working on it for 3 years. And I was like, yeah, that's so true. And for clarity lang, for like the people here who are not yet like familiar with the MFA system, ganun kasi, parang when you start, you already have your thesis in mind, dapat. So, so I've been working on this since I freaking entered grad school. I think I wrote that on the form already, where I was interested in like poetry that had to do with constraint and form. Nakainis, ano ba yan? Why? But yeah. But I'm trying to do what my friend told me and just not regret it. Like just, push through and accept that the things that have happened and there's nothing you can do about it. It's nice too, it kind of takes the pressure off. Hi. Hello. How's Saturday for you guys? Grabe, 11:20 na. What the heck? Time flies. Time flies so fast because it's Saturday and the universe wants us to go back to work. Char. But yeah, after this, I am gonna eat and then I'm gonna work on my thesis. On my thesis. Thank you, Ray. Fighting. No, I haven't yet. I haven't read Salamanca by Dean Francis Alfar. I'll look for it. Thanks for the recommendations, you guys. Like, I really appreciate it. So far, recommendations are Their Eyes Were Watching God, The Age of Innocence, and Salamanca. Sige. I'll look for it. I read this book. This is like spoiler for my wrap up. But I read this book that was about a married couple. Yung plot ni Claudia Rankin. It's so sad. What the heck? It's so sad, but it's so good. It reminds me of Edward and Pia by Donald Barthelme, which is like kind of like Marriage Story, like that kind of vibe. My coffee, sorry Ray, hindi siya Dunkin' Donuts. My coffee is, do you guys know the brand B? B coffee. Wait, I'll send a link. B coffee. This one. Wait. Sorry guys, kasi ang laki ng webcam ko, hindi ko siya, hindi ko makita yung window yan. That one, yung B coffee, I've been ordering their capsules for normal coffee, like coffee na pour over or mocha pot, which I'm gonna do after this, because like mocha pot coffee is my favorite kind of brewed coffee, because it's just so tasty. Like, ang tapang talaga, parang sinapak sa mukha, which I like. I mean, not sinapak sa mukha, but like strong coffee. So if it's pour over or mocha pot, I buy Candid Coffee. Meron silang shop sa Shopee. Candid Coffee. Yan, support local. But for this, kasi nagmamadali ako kanina, for yung mga na late, like kay Ray and kay Louie, late kasi ako nagising. So, na-start ko yung stream like mga 10:05 na. Because, ang ganda-ganda nung ko. Ang ganda-ganda kasi ng panaginip ko. I was dreaming na like nag-trip daw ako to Europe. So, ayoko pa magising. Tapos pagising ko sobrang panic. I woke up like 9:45. And I was like, oh my God! You may think pa naman ako na like ayoko mag-stream pag di ako naligo. So, naligo pa ako. Dinry ko pa yung hair ko. Ano mo yun? Arte. Nakakainis. Ayun. So, this coffee is yung B coffee na parang Nespresso compatible capsule. So, you just need to put it and then press it. Tsaka, biodegradable ata yung nila. So, yun. Do you drink milkshakes or non-caffeinated frap? No, I don't. Because I'm lactose intolerant. So, no, I can't. I can't drink dairy milk. And, yeah, wala lang. For me kasi, parang, ang weird talaga. Feeling ko yung mentality ko. Kasi, both ng parents ko kasi medyo addict sa kape. So, when I was growing up, like, I started drinking coffee, parang, siguro mga 11 years old, ganun. So, for me, parang pag walang coffee yung drink, it's like, hindi siya sulit. Like, lagyan natin ng kape, char. But yeah, so, ayun, parang, yeah, I don't really like non-caffeinated drinks, except, I have two exceptions. Dalandan or calamansi juice, like, super, I love it. Or, yung winter melon tea sa cocoa. sobrang specific. Ayun, I don't drink milk tea then, na parang milk tea. Just yung tea, na meron nung parang nata sa baba. And then, gusto ko yung salty cream layer. For some reason, hindi na-trigger doon yung ano ko. So, hindi siya talaga gatas, guys, char. But, my prof said na yung explanation doon is because cream is more processed na. So, usually by that time, the lactose already becomes galactose. So, hindi na siya nagbabind. Nerd talk! Hindi na siya nagbabind dun sa receptors mo for lactose. So, yeah. Anyway. Akala ko na panaginipan mo si Jonghan sa Europe. No. Actually, parang ano nga hindi ako masyado nakaka-fangirl. Of course, go lang. East of Eden by John Steinbeck. Sige. You know what? I've been hearing about that book for so long. Sige. Oh my God, ang dami ng recommendations. I feel like pag nabili ko to, I'll make a haul! Also, I wanted to ask, how do you guys feel about the streaming time? Like, is this okay? Saturday ng 10 a.m. or do you prefer kapag gabi? Sobrang torn ko kasi gusto ko magkape. Or like meriend, gusto ko magkape pero gusto ko sa gabi. Pero hindi ako pwede magkape sa gabi. I don't know. Or should it be merienda time? Like mga 4, ganun. Para pwede pa rin magkape. Pero hindi tayo ma-shocked kasi, you know, hindi pa tayo nagising. What do you think? Yay! May super funny ako na kwento, Ray. Kahapon, habang nagluluto ako ng dinner, pinapanood ko yung video mo, yung latest na reading vlog, and then after nun yung parang all the books that I read in 2021 ni Luis. Nakakatawa talaga kasi naririnig ng boyfriend ko in the background yung video mo na parang, di ba, talk about kay Marilu. Sabi ng boyfriend ko, he's like, sino si Marilu? Sabi ko sa kanya, ha? Sabi niya, tita mo ba yun? Si Tita Marilu. Sabi ko, no, name niya yun. As in, Marilu yung name niya. Merienda. Okay, sige. Alam mo, ang weird kasi yun nga, parang sabay. Sige, or baka move na lang natin a little ng like 10:30. Kasi feeling ko mga tao nagigising ng 10, at least may 30 minutes tayo para mag-ayos. Something like that. Ay, nako. Pero ayun. Yay, sige. Siguro next week, 10:30 na lang. To help people be more chill. Or siguro kung merienda, okay din. I'll introduce your Actually, feeling ko magugustuhan nga niya si Marilu kasi mahilig siya sa mga sa mga, anong tawag doon? Sci-fi stuff. So, feeling ko magugustuhan niya. Sabi niya, ha? Who's that? Hi. Anyway, guys, yun lang. I think that's all. May ano pa kayo? Anything you wanna talk about pa or whatever? If wala na, I guess I'll end the stream kasi magluluto pa ako ng lunch. Yeah. Marilu yung kapitbahay ni Marites. Ay, nako. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for being here. I think I'm gonna end the stream na. Yun, sorry talaga that I was late kanina and medyo sabog pa and stuff and I had to go down and get coffee and everything, but yun, promise next week it's gonna be better. And yeah, I've been thinking of doing these streams kasi it's just so nice, to know that, I'm not alone. Oh my gosh, yes! Alam mo, aatupagin ko talaga yung Dunkin' Donuts. Kasi every Valentine's, meron kaming tradition ng boyfriend ko where we just eat Dunkin'. So, I'm really gonna do it! Yay! Pipicturean ko. Tag kita. Send ko sa'yo. Thank you guys! Bye-bye! Have a good week and see you next week! Bye-bye!